Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to Alan to close it up with insect management on raspberries.
Great talk, depressing, but depressing. I will give you, let's see if I can do a happier talk. So again, probably a broken record, but when I'm doing work on the west side, a lot of the work is done in collaboration with Tom Walters. First, we're going to talk about mites on raspberries. When it comes to mites, blueberries have it easier. We struggle to find locations sometimes to do a mite trial. We do not struggle to find a place to do raspberry mites. I don't know what it is about raspberries, but they are a fundamentally funner place to be a mite. They do really, really well there. They're very happy. But as a result, there are a lot of products that are registered on raspberries. Now, I put the brand names up here. Some of these have generic equivalents. There's probably 50 products that have mite on the label that can be used on raspberries. But acromite or vigilance, which is bifenazate, has been the backbone. Other mites like savvy or ovicides have to be applied early. Some other miticides have MRLs that keep them from using them. So during harvest, growers have relied very heavily on acromite, and they claimed, oh, it didn't work like it used to. So Tom collected some population of mites. We shipped them to WSU, had Doug Walsh screened them. Every one that we sent to them tested positive for resistance to acromite. So if we can go to 6 fields and all 6 of them test positive, you have to assume that there's pretty widespread resistance. It's probably not in every field. It's probably not in high levels in every field. But when you test 6 and you find resistance to every one of them, it's probably pretty widespread. Louis Nottingham and I have tested 10 populations of SWD for several different insecticides and haven't found any resistance. So I'll just tell you, acromite is one of the few products that you have available for mite control. If you can avoid using it, it's probably in your best interest. Now, like I do, we're going to do a trial. It's ranked for total mites counted. It's always good when the untreated check is the most, and then it goes down. This is in a very heavy pressure situation. Look at this. Acromite was the best. Well, that tells us that this field obviously doesn't have acromite resistance. If it is in orange, it's not registered. But products that work well is acromite, fujimite, conomite, and agromec. So these are the 4 that you would want to use. If you can give acromite a break, you would want to. But the problem you have is agromec has got a 7-day PHI, so you can't use it at harvest. Vindex and Savvy have MRLs issues, Zeals and Ovicide can only be used early and one time per season. I can't remember why I put this slide in. So if you look at okay, you have to pay attention to the MRLs. You can't be using it and send to China, Taiwan. You got to be careful about going to Korea. Our tolerance is 0.2. If you go to Japan, which we do, or Korea, 0.05, you need to pay attention to the residue decline curves. And if you lengthen out PHI is 7, which will put you below it. So you got to watch the MRLs. That was that. Here's another one, Conomite, isaquinosil, smoking hot for killing mites, but it only really has a good tolerance for the U.S. and Canada. If you're going to any of these other countries, Japan 0.01, probably not a good idea. So pay attention to the mite ones. So if you want to control mites on raspberries, you got to sample early. I could go out to clip some vines in raspberries now, put them in something called a Berlese funnel, and I'll be able to find mites right now on in every raspberry field in Whatcom County. If I did the same thing, I doubt I would find any on blueberries right now. They don't seem to really overwinter in blueberries. They overwinter in the on the plant. Tom, do you remember? I know you sent the samples to me and we do the counts, but did we have times where we never found mites on raspberries, or were you always able to find them? If you have to think about it, I'm going to move on. Okay, we got to move on. The other thing with mites is that's fine. I couldn't either, and I have the data. One of the things with miticides, none of them work as a rescue treatment. You cannot wait. If you see webbing from the mites, you've lost it already. You got to treat very early and count mites. Count mites. Get a hand lens. If you're young, you can flip the leaf over and do it without a hand lens, but you need to use a hand lens or some kind of magnification. Um, and if you can find them and the numbers start to build at any level, it's time to hit it. You want to avoid use of products that flare, that it says flare miticides. Flare, it should say flare mites. I've seen this slide 100 times. I just noticed that wrong word there. Well, flare mites. So if you use a pyrethroid, if you're using Mustang Max for SWD, you are buying yourself a mite outbreak. So bifenthrin, Mustang Max, all those products will flare mites. Omite, Fujimite, Conomite are great products if you integrate their use during harvest, but pay attention to the MRLs if you may export. I've already went over that. Here's some more data from 2023. It's good. Man, oh man, were there a lot of mites in this field. This is the untreated check. Again, here's acromite. Worked, and these other products were the best. This is new data 2024. Okay, look at the untreated check, 1,031. Same kind of trial, year later. Tom, help me out. Was this in the same spot or different spot? How can we not remember this? Within 100 feet, same spot. Okay, that shows you a year-to-year variation. Again, untreated check has most. We'll ignore all these that say A on the side and not let statistics get in the way. Magister, okay, not registered. Midas, not registered. But here's Savvy, Zeal. Here's Acromite. Here's Conomite. What's this? Wrath. The Wrath peddler isn't here. No, she's gone. But what's Wrath? No one's ever heard of that. Geranol. Anybody know what geranol is? Essential oil extracted from geranium, peppermint oil, cottonseed, rosemary oil. Don't panic, it's organic. Anyway, we did some work on spotting Drosophila. It worked well. So we had some data, and there's no tolerance, exempt from tolerance. So anyway, we had some data that showed Wrath worked in SWD and in blackberry. See, SWD. It's been a long meeting. SWD and blackberry and mites in raspberries. A new pest showed up last year, Western flower thrips. I don't know if you can tell it, but there's this white on this. A color sorter will kick that out. Western flower thrips, I know really well. I've done 100 thrips protocol projects, but never on raspberries. I've done a lot of them on potatoes. So, and by the way, here's a thrips tribute. I'm going to ask Lisa DeVetter. Lisa, what is the singular as opposed to plural? What's a singular name for thrips? Thrips. Yeah, there's no such word as thrip. There's not a single thrip. there is a single thrips. So anyway, Western flower thrips, as the name says, they love to live in a flower. They hang out in the flower, but they build up and they go everywhere. They're a terrible problem on onions, except that's onion thrips. That's a different one. But they like to live in the flowers, but they're not restricted to the flower. They're really small. Forgive me for not putting a picture of them up. As is the case with mites, are almost impossible to control as a rescue treatment once the population is built up. It is too late. Often, usually a single application is not effective. In their life cycle, they have parts of their life cycle that is off of the plant. They will be on the plant and then they pupate in the soil. The eggs are inserted into the plant. So if you put it in something to kill thrips and you kill every thrips in your field, there's 1,000,000 or 10,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 that are probably in the soil that you're not hitting, and the eggs you're not hitting. And so a good thrips program requires multiple applications. This is treatment we did. Boy, did we do a big thrips trial. If it's some of these are not registered. Let's see, can't remember which one. Planazen is not labeled. I don't know if vertiprin is labeled. If it's in this color, it's an organic product. Here is the FC work. Oddly enough, the pressure was surprisingly low for what I expected. But again, untreated check at the top. We had treatment differences. Planazen, not registered, but pay attention to this one. We don't know what the brand name is. Planazen is a great one. Success was the winner. Cinecar, I mentioned it earlier. That's cinnamaldehyde, exempt from tolerance. Here's a sale. Here's Azodirect and Pyganic. I'm looking at this right now and I'm wondering why is this rate so low, but it was one of the more effective ones. Delegate malathion belief. All are options. This is the first work that we have done. We need to do more work. This is the first trial of thrips on raspberries that I could find anywhere. So we still have some work to do. So for controlling thrips, the single best thing you can do is to check for thrips early. If you see them in a flower, it's go time. If you see any increase in the numbers, you have to treat. Most times it takes more than one. I will just tell you in some other situations, in onions where thrips are a real problem, 6 times. 6 times is a common number of treatments. Thrips in onions is their SWD. And so it usually takes more than one application. The good news is some of the problems that you're going to be using, products you're going to use for SWD or some of your other pests will work for thrips control. We just have 1 year's of data, but I would say Success, Delegate, Cinecar, Assail are options, but if flowering, pay attention to bee safety. .443, we got ahead of ourselves.
Perfect timing. Huh?
We can skip questions,
Oh,
and if you want,
only for-
let people go. Lisa, what are you laughing at?
yeah, so we're good. Any questions? Did I miss it? No. You got 40 more seconds. You have to talk.
Okay, there's a guy here, Paul Price from British Columbia, my counterpart for British Columbia. I asked him how to spell his name. He said, my name is spelled, what's your name? Price, Price. No, it's the Welsh spelling, Pryce. I said, I have one joke about Wales. Here's it goes. Guy there's two ladies in the bar having a drink. And a guy walked up and they had this brogue of an accent. And this guy walked up and said, "Say, gals, is that